The Katsukian Network presents Riffin on Jazz.
Sonny Rollins.
You got to improve, man. You got Coltrane and Ornette Coleman and these boys coming up. You better get your stuff together.
Mr. Miles Davis.
White people are funny. In America, they thought that I just woke up one morning and had the blues and started playing the trumpet. But it don't go like that, and you can't explain that to them.
Miles was able to make something that was wrong into something that was right.
Now they know. I'm not an accident.
Hello and welcome to Riffin on Jazz. I'm Howard Robertson.
I'm Chuck O'Bannon.
And I'm Deborah Swinney.
And Riffin on Jazz is your weekly visit with friends.
Talking about the music we love.
That classic African-American art form called jazz.
Love it how you held that L, Chucky.
Oh,
that classic.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
all right. Trumpet Masters.
Oh, wow.
Trumpet Masters. And no better way to say this or thing to call it. These are the masters of jazz on the trumpet. Mm-hmm. And we're going to begin by a cat that I always loved when I was younger. His name is Clark Terry, and he's doing Jazz Conversations. My man, Clark Virgil Terry Jr.
That's real jazz.
That's awesome. That is
This whole show is about real jazz.
Oh yeah,
Jazz powerhouses.
Yeah, this is an adult show today.
Trumpet Masters. That's what we're talking about here on Riffin. And we began everything with Clark Terry. Y'all tell them something about Clark Terry. Clark Terry played with everybody. Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Quincy Jones, Oscar Peterson, in the Tonight Show band.
That's rare. That was back in '62, Howard. I don't know whether he was one of the first brothers to get on a late night TV show.
Yeah, because it wasn't a whole lot of brothers in the band.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This was, I believe this was Doc Severson's band.
It was.
On the Tonight Show. And he was one of the, as my daddy used to say, he was one of the first spots up there.
Yeah. And he grew to be in such a big demand that he would joke about carrying around a suitcase to keep his W-2 forms in.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that
it's
is
cool.
Well, his style was so original too, Deborah.
Yeah, very original. He had the nickname of Mumbles. He had the song I called Mumbles. He's mumbling through the song, which is kind of like a mumble sketch. He was very popular for that.
Funny.
That
was funny.
And he was Quincy Jones' first teacher, informal teacher, I guess
really?
you could say.
I didn't know that.
Quincy Jones used to go hear him when he was in school, in grade school, and he finally asked him would he tutor him, teach him how to play. And so their schedules conflicted, and so during the daytime, Quincy would be in school, and in the daytime that he would Clark Terry would be sleeping. Right. So they worked out to get lessons like about 6 or 6:30 in the morning time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so that went on for some months, and eventually Quincy decided he's going to orchestrate a piece for them to play on the road.
Right.
And because he was trying to get into writing. And so he asked Clark Terry to take the piece on the road and try it on the band. So they tried on the band. By halfway through through playing it, the band just stopped and burst out, started laughing. They said, "Man, who wrote this garbage? Quit this!" And so then when he got back, Quincy asked, "Man, how did they like the piece?" He said he had to lie about it and say, "Well, it did okay. There's a couple little spots. But let's keep up the good work."
So they stopped in the middle of it.
He couldn't
who
tell
wrote this?
He couldn't tell him what the real results were. But anyway, he told him he would be a big band leader one day and composer. And what happened?
All right. And in case you guys didn't know, Quincy Jones's instrument is trumpet, or was trumpet. Yeah, he was a trumpet player originally. Clark Terry from St. Louis, Missouri, and he has started out our Trumpet Masters show here on Riffin' on Jazz, and next we got somebody else.
The man.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
Playing trumpet. This cat is playing trumpet.
No. His band members are.
Oh.
Yeah. He taught a certain trumpet player.
Yeah.
Who we're going to hear from.
And the name might ring a bell. His name is Louis Marsalis, and he's doing Have You Met Miss Jones?
Not yet. Now, those are the fingers of a premier pianist.
Yes, yes.
That man's fingers has feeling and texture, and it's speaking to you. Did it speak to you? What did it
Yes.
say?
Yeah.
It comes right out of the heart and goes right down the arms to the fingers.
Ellis Marsalis is truly, in every sense of the word, a patriot, a patriarch, with uber talented sons.
Yes.
Who followed in his footsteps as a professional musician. And what else can you say? I mean, it is amazing to produce that kind of musical excellence and to see that kind of musical excellence all in one family.
Yeah, and can you imagine what was going on in the house when all those awesome musicians were in there?
And
At
that's
one
what
time.
Went, and that's what went, and everybody wanted to play something else because Wynton, and we've got the next segment of the Wynton Marsalis interview coming up. Y'all stay tuned. But he was saying that, you know, he came up and at his gigs for his band, the place would be packed. He said when he'd go hear his dad play with his quartet or quintet, there'd be 7 people in there. He said, so why would I want to play jazz?
Well, you know, Howard, since you've already let everybody know that we got part 2 of the interview,
I don't want them to go anywhere. I
Oh,
don't
they
want
ain't
them to
going
stray.
nowhere. They ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
They're riffing on jazz.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
But the Marsalis family itself dates back in New Orleans since 1822.
Didn't know that.
So his father and Wynton's grandfather was a tremendous musical force as well.
And so if it was since 1822, they had some greats,
Yeah, they did.
great grandfathers that were musicians too.
They were in the hotel business. I don't know whether you've ever stayed at the Marsalis Hotel in New Orleans,
No, I
but
have
they
not.
were in
Never
that
heard of
business for years.
Wow.
And that's why the style of music, like what we heard last night, we did go to that wonderful concert.
Yeah, you got to tell them what
featuring,
kind of concert we went to.
Oh, we had a concert here in Memphis.
Memphis.
And it was the
Jazz at Lincoln Center
Jazz at
Orchestra,
Lincoln Center Orchestra.
holiday concert.
Yeah.
So they did arrangements, great arrangements of
fabulous.
holiday tunes.
But you could feel some of those arrangements had a lot of New Orleans in
Oh
it.
yeah, definitely. Very definitely.
Well, you ain't gonna have jazz
Very definitely.
from a Marsalis without a New Orleans
Very
flavor.
definitely. And that is great segue into the next trumpet master, from which Wynton got his first horn, as Chuck has educated us in the past. This guy's name is Al Hurt, and he's going to be doing I Can't Get Started.
I can't get started. Now that song,
I wonder why.
Yeah, now, that is a special song because it's one of those jazz standards that I consider to be one of the most beautiful jazz standards, and that combined with his great trumpet wizardry.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes,
That's a good word,
would be
Dan.
great to add to your jazz listening list. Although he didn't consider himself to be a jazz artist.
Well, it was great American music. It was like the great American standard. But it was jazz because that's the same
Yeah,
era.
because he had that New Orleans jazz aspect.
Oh, ain't
And
no doubt.
New Orleans jazz is different than regular than straight ahead jazz, or it's different. So
Well,
he was raised with that.
Back then, they didn't look at Frank Sinatra and
No, they
some
didn't.
of those.
That was
folks.
just popular. That
was
was popular
popular
music.
music.
Yeah,
But in essence, it definitely was jazz.
yeah. Al Hurt grew up in New Orleans, son of a policeman, I think, and started playing and went on to Cincinnati Conservatory of Music, and ended up playing with swing bands like Tommy Dorsey, Jimmy Dorsey, Benny
Right.
Goodman, and Ray Hunt, Ina Ray Hunton. And so, big legendary thing is that he was a good friend to Elvis Marsalis, and maybe they were in the same group. Maybe they played together. And Ellis was expressing that his son Wynton was interested in trumpet, learning how to play trumpet, and Al gave him his first one when he was 6.
Yeah.
6 years old.
Hey,
But Al Hurt had received 21 Grammy nominations, and he won one too back in '64. I believe.
right.
Yeah, he had a lot going on. And this album, that song is on Honey in the Horn. That's some kind of a name for an album, huh? And also the album Cotton Candy, they both reached the top 10 bestsellers in 1964 within the same year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
He
pretty
was
good.
big. He used to be really big on all the shows, popular TV shows, guest appearances, and all of that.
Yeah.
You are listening to Trumpet Masters only on Riffin on Jazz on the Kazukian Network.
Riffin on Jazz.
Kazukian.
The company is based in Memphis, but it is international.
A new building, an expanded team, new equipment, a new studio, all inside of 7 years.
The resources that we were able to utilize with Kazukian and their team has been incredible. And our partners at Kazukian has been a large part of our success.
One, it's Black owned, so we get to tell our own stories in our own way.
With social media and the technology we have today, the world is listening.
Kazukian. Check out all your Kazukian favorites now. Download the Kazukian app, available on Android and iOS.
Guys, as you well know, we had the fabulous honor of interviewing the one, the only, the iconic Wynton Marsalis. And you know what I loved and was so amazed by? This cat is so real and down to earth, it ain't funny.
It's true. He speaks his mind.
He does, man. And
About
I love
everything.
that. That's refreshing. He ain't trying to win no friends and influence no people. He is speaking what the good Lord loves, and that is his truth. And we are pleased to get into the second segment or episode of our interview with Wynton Marsalis.
I've got one little simple question. How do you feel about jazz today with the influx of hip hop and rap and other more youthful contexts of this great music?
Well, that stuff is not youthful either. That's 50 years old. So that stuff was youthful when I was youthful. So I just told you, for me, I grew up in the community. I played funk music. That's the style that I grew up playing, funk-based music. Once the drums start playing backbeats and drum machines start to play, the identity of the music doesn't change that much. They put different names on it. Maybe people are talking over it. But, in New Orleans, we always had that style. What I'm always talking about is jazz as music. And that music has timeless qualities. It does not grow old. You put Charlie Parker on today, ain't nobody play like him. There's no young Charlie Parker, Art Tatum. We got like these titans, in the things that they were revealing to us still have meaning. So I still feel the same as what I felt when I was 17 or 18 or 20. I was saying stuff that upset people. Now it's been so overwhelmed. We have so much trash in our system as Americans. When you get to a level of pornography and filth and gambling for everybody and drugs everywhere, and I don't just mean like weed and basic drugs everybody was always taking. I mean like a corrupt whole pharmaceutical system where you're prescribing drugs to addict people to it, and you have a kind of a societal collapse almost. I was always against this thing, and the whole kind of pornography for kids is selling them products all the time. We just have gone headlong into that. So now it's going to fall as it will. But jazz, that's not what it's about. It's adult music, and it's not. It's to me, it's like a North Star now. It's something you can aspire to. So our job is to keep playing it, to become better, to believe in it, and that's what we do. And I'm bowed about that. You see the results of the decisions we've made as a society.
Exactly.
And if you look at the mental health crisis we have, and don't blame younger people. I'm always talking to people, these young people. It ain't the young people, it's not the young people. We didn't set the table right for them. And we refuse to have the discipline we needed coming out of the civil rights movement to safeguard those rights and to fight the battles we had to fight. Mm-hmm. Now everything is a struggle. I remain hopeful about our younger people. I'm still out here on this battlefield, man. I haven't given up on it. I don't just sit through it and say, well, that's just young people, because that stuff is old too.
Yeah, yeah.
See, they calling right now about it. They don't like that.
I love what you just said about we didn't set the table for them. I think you're exactly right in that a lot of what consumes all of us now stems from young people. And I think a lot of it stems from young people not being raised as we were. There used to be a little thing called home training, but paralleling that, it seems to me that you and others are and have been setting the table very, very well, setting the jazz table very appropriately for younger people. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about the whole program. We've watched it evolve and all of that. Tell us about that.
Well, Jazz at Lincoln Center, we have a lot of assets. We built our own concert hall. We have 3 spaces. We have our orchestra that goes on tour. We have a library with 4,500 arrangements and compositions, including whole collections of music of like Dizzy Gillespie and Tommy Dorsey. We have education programs for Essentially Ellington for high school students, regional festivals of Essentially Ellington for high school students. We have Weebop for really small kids. We have a platform, Jazz Live, where music is up all the time. We have a record company called Blue Engine. We have a lot of partnerships with people around the world, from partners in Mexico to, we have a club in Shanghai called the Jazz Lincoln Center Shanghai. We have a lot of resources that we've built that need to be further developed, and is going to give our younger people more things to do. We started Jazz at Juilliard. We have a lot of youngsters playing in our system and teaching in our system. We have online education for anybody who's interested. Adults can come and check out and find out about the music. We have a club, Dizzy's Club, that's open the year round, doing sets. We for real, we've been out here with right now. It's a struggle for all of the institutions because it's just the society is changing. The work ethic is different. The young and the older people, we have a lot of rifts, and we are not like other places in that we have those challenges also. But we are fortunate in the orchestra that we've been committed this whole time, and we have the same, even those of us who are older that are looking at, well, how long are we going to do it? We have younger people that we've been teaching, and we have a good mid-range age that can carry that banner, because it's difficult to continue to be out here representing and swinging. But Jazz at Lincoln Center has a tremendous amount of resources and a lot of upside to do new things based on the things that we've done.
just like what you said, Howard. The man is real.
Oh yeah.
He is a real person.
Is. It's refreshing, isn't it?
It really is.
It is.
To be that honest about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of young folks ain't gonna like what he said.
Well, hey.
But I mean, he's the authority on it.
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
And he brought that kind of respect to jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Melvin, man.
It was another R word too that he brought to jazz, and that's recognition.
Yes.
I think that I have a lot of respect for the recognition and respect that he brought to jazz, and that's just the acknowledgement of how, because he's, you know what he is? He's really an ethnomusicologist. He knows the history of the music, especially jazz, because he was a student of Louis Armstrong, and he looked up to Louis Armstrong, who looked up to W.C. Handy.
Yeah.
And so he respects Memphis. He respects W.C. Handy and what he did. And here's a point that I made at the W.C. Handy Awards. Wynton Marsalis has written over 600 original compositions. W.C. Handy, William Christopher, which the W.C. stands for, Handy, wrote only 60-something compositions. Does that make Wynton any more prolific than W.C. Handy? No, because what W.C. Handy did is allow Wynton Marsalis to own the publishing on his 600 tunes, because he was the first black man to have a publishing company in America.
Exactly.
And Wynton Marsalis acknowledges that. So,
and as far as the song, Deb, now people know what we were privileged with last night.
Oh yeah. Jazz at Lincoln Center.
What an orchestra. Ever since the first downbeat, everybody knew, oh my God, you're not in Kansas City.
That's right. And this coming up is another trumpet master. He is one of the ones that Wynton mentioned in some part of our interview that they were trying to emulate. And he said, as a young kid, it's hard as heck to try to emulate the likes of Dizzy Gillespie and Clifford Brown.
Yeah.
Y'all check out Clifford Brown. Name of the tune is Easy Living.
Easy Living. That was the name of that cut.
Nice.
From the album Clifford Brown Memorial Album. And Clifford was one of the top trumpeters, ranking up there with Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis, gone too soon at the age of 25, tragically.
That's exactly right. And as I was saying to you guys earlier, I compare him in terms of the body of work that he created and passing away at only 25. I compare him to the great Otis Redding in the R&B world, who passed at 27. But the body of work that he had amassed was amazing. So y'all do a deep dive on Clifford Brown. Go listen to all of his cuts on your own and see how you like that. You're listening to Trumpet Masters.
Riffin on Jazz. On Jazz. On Jazz.
R&R on Sports.
1968 Olympian Dr. John Carlos.
Oh man, it's an honor. They need to pick up their radio and tune you guys in.
There you go.
It's R&R on Sports.
Trumpet Masters here on Riffin on Jazz. You know, we could not go, as they say, another further without really getting into one of the true masters of this instrument, and one of the ones who had the most one of the greatest impacts on jazz. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that he really stood out physically in a couple of ways, but one of the ways was his instrument. I'm talking about Dizzy Gillespie, and I'm talking about the turned up bell of his trumpet.
Well, he had the turned up bell. He had the puffy jaws.
Yeah, the puffy jaws.
Like a squirrel that got a whole bunch of nuts in it.
He had a lot of stuff. He had a lot of stuff going for him.
And then he had the beret.
He had the glasses.
And he
the
had
glasses that would go up on his face when his jaws puffed up. And he all kind of stuff.
And he had a hell of a great, fun personality.
He was a jokester, I understand.
Absolutely.
He pissed a lot of people off too with those being a jokester.
And they wanted to be around him. We're gonna get into his cut that he is most known for, because I'm pretty sure he wrote it, and it is and is known for this. This is a jazz standard and classic all over the planet. I'm talking about A Night in Tunisia.
in Tunisia.
Oh, yes.
Now, you know, the title of that album, by the way, is called Burke's Works, Birks.
Where Burks come from?
I wondered where it came from until I looked at Dizzy's given name. His born name was John Burks Dizzy Gillespie.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And a great history, originally from Chiraw, South Carolina. And Daddy was a band leader, and he started playing early. I don't know at what point he got the nickname Dizzy, but I understand why he got the nickname Dizzy, because he was crazy. He was all over the place. Loved to joke. Loved to play games on people and all of that. Always loved to tell jokes and make jokes on people. One thing that I am particularly proud of, he graduated from the Laurinburg Institute in North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
I am a board member of the Laurinburg Institute in North Carolina.
Oh, that's cool.
Laurinburg Institute is, as we speak, the oldest black boarding school. You know, before we could go to school, before we could be educated, we had to be educated at special schools, and most of these schools were boarding schools. And so Laurinburg in North Carolina, the grandson of the founders of Laurinburg, still runs the school today. I talked to him yesterday, as a matter of fact. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to mention that Dizzy was a major figure in the development of bebop and modern jazz.
That's exactly right. And
he also didn't take no crap either.
Did he have any trouble with that?
He had trouble with one great entertainer by the name of Cab Calloway.
Tell him about that. Tell him a little something about that.
Well, it seems like Cab Calloway had a little problem with Dizzy because Dizzy was a jokester. And unfortunately, him and Cab Calloway got into a little, well, let's call it a skirmish.
Okay. Like this was a show backstage or something, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. 1941, I believe it was, or sometime during that era. And they were actually in a rehearsal.
Oh, rehearsal, okay.
And somebody took a spitball and hit Cab Calloway with it, and they thought it was Dizzy, because he was always doing stuff.
But it wasn't Dizzy.
It wasn't
Right,
Dizzy.
it wasn't.
But he just refused
He got blamed for
to agree to it, because he knew he didn't do it. So they actually got in a fight, and the knife came out. Dizzy stabbed Cab Calloway that day. And of course, it just was
The hidey-ho
He
man.
stabbed him in the leg.
He stabbed him in the
crazy.
leg.
Oh, my goodness.
And then, even though he apologized, Cab Calloway
No
didn't
way.
want to play with him anymore.
So Cab fired him out of the band.
Yes, he did.
Oh,
He
my
left cuts on
goodness.
his thighs and wrists. He wasn't playing. He was getting starved.
Hidey-ho.
See,
Like the old folks, they starved. Wow.
Trumpet Masters. See, you only hear about that on Riffin. Only hear about that on Riffin. And with that, we are going to get, oh my goodness, from one icon to the icon. Okay? Cat's name is Pops, aka Louis Armstrong. He's doing What a Wonderful World.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful
Yes, what a wonderful world. The best of Louis Armstrong.
You know, the feeling on that is just, it's so real.
It is. I end all of my gigs with that song.
Do you really?
Yeah, what a wonderful world.
Good.
You know, a lot of us don't realize how blessed we are that we are not in some odd third country or just third world rather, and you know, trying to survive.
Yeah.
You know, so many people. But this gentleman right here, he sets the standard for trumpet, the trumpet, a cornet, whatever, and he's his distinctive voice.
You know, that and his personality.
Yeah, beautiful personality, and he also popularized scat singing. But the funny part is, the first money he made was not from the horn. It was from getting his little friends on the street to help him sing and raise some money in the tip jar on the streets of New Orleans.
As a singer on the streets of New Orleans. Okay. Interesting.
Well, you know, along with this song, folks, Hello, Dolly is probably the second most notable song from Louis Armstrong. But, gosh, I wish I could have met him.
Yeah.
We could have sat around
talking about history,
drank coffee, fired one up
and kicked it
and fired another one up.
What you trying to fire up?
Well, you know, Louis Armstrong was ahead of his time with this cannabis deal. You know, he was very well known to supply cannabis to all the wonderful musician friends of his that came to play in New Orleans.
When it was totally and absolutely against the law.
Oh, absolutely and totally. But boy, I bet you it's good. Anyhow.
Yes, it was said that he is the greatest pop singer in the world that ever was and ever will be forever and ever.
And ever.
Yes.
Got some good cannabis too.
Everything you say, Chuck, is gonna rope back to cannabis. Notice how that happened. What you trying to tell
us, Chuck?
Notice how that
cannabis.
We're gonna get out of here from the Trumpet Masters show, and we're gonna leave here with Branford Marsalis. Now, Branford Marsalis is not a trumpet master. His brother is one. However, this song is actually played by one of the trumpet masters that we did not feature individually, but we're going to feature him with Branford Marsalis. His name is Terrence Blanchard. The tune is Mo Better Blues, and we appreciate you being with us.
Oh, yeah.
Here on Riffin on Jazz on the Kazukian Network. I'm Howard Robertson.
I'm Chuck O'Bannon.
And I'm Deborah Swinton.
There y'all sure are. And we remind you that yesterday is history.
Tomorrow is a mystery.
Today is a gift.
That's why we call it the present. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Be back with us here on Riffin next week.
Riffin on Jazz. Executive produced by Kazukian and recorded at Kazukian Studios. Riffin on Jazz. Part of the Kazukian Network.